Hey everyone, welcome back to Cupid, and just like the last episode, we are opening up again with another candle being lit. I'm not even going to procrastinate because I am interested to see how this is all going to play out, and although I will admit, well not admit, I will acknowledge that in the last episode, at least Mother explained to some extent what has to happen in order for her plan, as she says, to work. And apparently this particular spell uses 3 candles. One for fondness, one for I think it said trust, and the other one was for lust. So the second one's being lit. Let's see what happens next. Its name is Philia. Thank you for that recap. The love for friends. The yellow candle shone and danced with her breath. So I'm going to call it now. The final candle is probably going to be like red or pink, for lust. Then again, I don't know. Back in medieval times, green was actually, I think, associated with that trait. So I could be wrong about that. I don't know. Let this candle burn until its wick is spent. Encourage friendship. Bring forth memories. Let me walk in his halls without any suspicion. Let me rummage through his belongings invisibly. His journal. He guards his journal fiercely. I must find it. Rosa adjusted her coat as she sat on one of the reserved seats. The theater was packed. The air buzzed with excitement. She hadn't realized this many people would come tonight. Oh, Mother, I wish they would stop staring at me. And why not? This was Madame. Okay, another flashback. I was starting to wonder why we were in a auditorium or theater. And why not? This was Madame Catherine Barret's first solo concerto. Her name had been slowly gathering recognition the past few years. It was feasible to expect a full house. Alright, so I just realized, too, or maybe I shouldn't say realized, but I have a theory that with each candle that she lights, we're going to get like a flashback instance explaining what led to Catherine's death. And I'm a little concerned in that the first one was about fondness. This one's about trust. And the last one's about lust. So I guess in this flashback we'll see something that alludes to Catherine, I guess. I don't know, maybe I'm looking into this too much, but I feel like this flashback is going to delve more into Catherine's trust with Guilleme to some extent, as well as Rosa's. And then the last one, because it's lust, I don't know. In any event, let me wait till the freaking plane stop. Still, the turnout was more than they had expected. Paris had taken Rosa and Catherine by surprise. The sheer number of people and their liveliness were well above the usual sights of their small town. Catherine was obviously thrilled with the opportunity to play in such an esteemed venue for her debut. Rosa tried her best to keep her anxiety under control. Aww. This was for Catherine. You're a good friend, Rosa. I don't care what anybody says. You are a good friend. Because that's hard. I won't say that I get anxious around crowds like that, but I do know how uncomfortable you must feel right now. So, props for you for enduring that for Catherine's sake. Yes, for her. This was her night. Rosa took a deep breath and released it slowly. It relaxed her. I hope the show starts soon. Rosa's eyes drifted towards... Good grief. Rosa's eye drifted towards the stage and then to the throng of people gathered on her far left. In the middle of the huddle stood a familiar shape of a man. He had his back turned to her, but the posture and build were unmistakable. That is Guilleme. Her heart made a sudden gleeful jump. She was delighted that he had made it to Catherine's show. Well, why wouldn't he? He had been traveling extensively recently. What if she walked over and made sure? Guilleme would greet her kindly. He was sure Catherine would be thrilled to know he was here. Is something going to happen? Rosa pondered for a bit, reminded of a sudden wince of pain. Soon, the master of ceremonies obliged people to take their seats. Guilleme turned around and walked towards her. He stopped midway and took a seat without noticing her presence. Rosa seemed deep in thought. What's wrong, sweetheart? Is something bothering you? Nothing, Mother. Don't lie to me. I just didn't expect to see him here, that's all. Oh, I see. It's the same problem, isn't it? Alright, so now that we're a few episodes in, what I'm also realizing now with this visual novel, apart from the themes that it explores, the way it's structured, like most visual novels, you make a decision and you for the most part know, I shouldn't say that. I guess what I'm trying to say is these decisions that you make are from, I guess you could say, the mother's viewpoint. Like, it's questions that she's asking the daughter. Usually it's the other way around, because Rosa's really the protagonist. But at the same time, I don't know, I'm starting to wonder now, is the mother really the true protagonist of the story? And Rosa's just like her host? If that's the case, then I am kind of glad that I'm choosing the more positive or optimistic choices, because the mother is a bit of a drag, even though I am, with each episode, starting to see Guilleme in a less favorable light. But at the same time, I don't think number one is true, considering what I know about Rosa. I don't think she's particularly upset about Guilleme. Number two is actually more interesting to ask. Plus, I think it might actually be true, because we already saw in a previous episode how Catherine, her behavior had started to turn regarding Guilleme, especially after her sister's death. So I think, in a way, Catherine is starting to act the same way Emily did before she died, like becoming very obsessive about Guilleme. And so the mother's saying that basically Rosa's being concerned about Catherine, since Guilleme showed up. At least that's what I'm thinking. Let's see if that's actually true. That filthy man again. I'm sure Catherine will be pleased. Oh, it's been confirmed. I mean, See, that's the thing too about the word lover. People kind of use it too liberally. I mean, I like to think of it more as if both have like romantic feelings or an attraction to each other. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in a physical relationship. Although a lot of the time when you see the word lover used, that's what it's alluding to. So, I mean, I know in those times it was acceptable. You know, I know that, you know, life expectancies were different too, which I wonder factored into why people, you know, coupled, for lack of a better word, at earlier ages, you know. That's the other thing too. I mean, again, I think I know, I have a theory, you know, about Guilleme, which I'm not going to say yet, in case I'm not actually right about it. But I don't know how old, like, I don't know how much of an age difference there is between him and Catherine, you know? Or even Rosa, for that matter. But, where am I even going with this, conversation? Basically, I'm trying to say is, I don't know how much of an age difference there is between the two for them to have a physical relationship. But again, in that time period, it wasn't really frowned upon, you know. But whatever. Whatever will she think of now that her lover is back? I bet she would rather spend all her time with him as usual. Wow, this is setting up to be just like it was with Emily. My poor darling. Always running after her star. I wonder how long until she's tired of you constantly tagging along. You brag to me that you share everything like sisters. Does that include Guilleme too? Don't be so snarky, Mother. I can just hear it across the screen. Oh, you're making your life so complicated, darling. Why do you even bother yourself with these people? Here we go. Oh, I don't like this woman. And now, it just dawned on me too about an earlier decision that I had to make, or conversation choice that I had to make. There was one that had mentioned that Catherine either led her astray or Catherine was selfish, something to that line. Considering now what we know about Catherine and what has happened, that actually might have been the more accurate choice to say, because it does seem like the girls get very crazy, possessive and obsessive when Guilleme is involved. So I never thought I would actually agree with number 2, but it does sound like she would do something like that now. And then number 1, you know, again, I think that to some extent she's just saying that because she super doesn't trust Guilleme, and so she's just trying to plant doubt in her head. But it does seem like he does have some interest in her, but at this point I don't see it being romantic interest, so You know what, believe it or not, I'm going to pick number 2 because I am seeing some changes in Catherine that I don't like, and I hate to say it, this does kind of sound like something she would do at this point. She will obviously abandon you when they get together. They make such a lovely pair. Rosa winced at Mother's words, as if they were nails grating on a wall. It is only a matter of time, isn't it? What will you do then? Aren't you tired of being the third wheel? It's not like that, Mother. We're friends. Friends? Darling, friendship... Mother, can you say anything? Anything at all that would prove to me that you're a decent person? I mean, what the hell is this here? Friendship is nothing but a shallow kind of relationship? What kind of bullshit is this? You clearly didn't have any friends for you to be saying something like this. I mean, I'll admit, I don't really have friends in real life, but at one point I did, and I did value that relationship, you know? And I'm not a people person, so it's hard for me to reach out and make new friends and stuff. But to turn around and say something like that, this woman, darling, friendship is nothing but a shallow kind of relationship. People change friends as easily as the weather. Okay, not true for everybody. Some people, yeah, but that's some people, not everybody. I hate how she lumps everybody in the same category. I hate that. You don't even remember the friends you make at a certain age. I mean, that's sort of true in a way, especially if you grow apart or, you know, distance and whatnot. Like, I don't remember all the friends I had when I was in grade school, but, you know, that's because we're talking 20 plus years ago, you know? Come on. She keeps hitting me with these choices I don't like. I hate these choices she's giving me. Friendships do not last and family is more important. Neither of these are true. Some friendships last forever or for a very, very long time, you know? Sometimes a friendship doesn't end until... Sorry. Okay, back to what I was saying. What's with all the noise, people? Back to what I was saying, though. You know, it's wrong to say that friendships don't last. I know some people might feel that way because they've had a number of friendships crumble or break apart for one reason or another, but it is wrong to say that friendships don't last. I mean, maybe it didn't last particularly for you, but for other people it has. You know, some people have friendships that last their whole life, you know, or until the other person passed away. And even if a friendship does, you know, eventually end, you know, it might not necessarily be a bad thing. I mean, treasure the fact that you even had one. Some people can go a whole lifetime without actually even making a friend, you know? And then to say that family is more important, I do not agree with that in the slightest. I mean, family is important, but, you know, there are some instances where, I think I mentioned this back in the third episode, maybe? Fourth episode? Where I was saying that I had a situation with a family member who, more or less got in between me and a special someone of mine. And it was almost like I had to choose between the two. And, you know, there are instances where you do gotta put family first or value family above all else. But then, what if that family member or your family in general does not have your best interests at heart, you know? Then can you really say family is more important? I mean, I know it varies from person to person and even, you know, because of customs and whatnot, but I don't believe that family is necessarily more important, you know? So, yeah, I have a hard time trying to pick a choice here because I don't agree with either one, but I guess if I had to choose, I would say friendships don't last. Only because I'm looking at the broad picture that eventually a friendship will end, maybe like in death, you know, like your friend passes away or something. You know, I will admit that some friendships do end, you know, on a sour note, or, you know, for one reason or another, but I don't necessarily agree that family is more important, because sometimes it's not. It really isn't. Listen to Mother. Friendships do not last. You always love so much. You give all of yourself. I just don't want you to get hurt. They are not worth the love you give them. My dear, every relationship is centered around need. They need you now, but soon they will abandon you too. Rosa's tongue felt bitter in her mouth. She was filled... You're not the only one, girlfriend. She was filled with annoyance for her mother. Wasn't happiness as fleeting as friendship? Yet it was not any less real than sadness. Ain't that the freaking truth? These friends, these were people who accepted her. They shared laughter and tears, their own regrets and dreams. What more was needed? Rosa's confused feelings began to arrange themselves neatly in her mind. Guilleme and Catherine's happiness was important to her. That was the main thing. She knew they felt the same way for her. Her insecurities were real, but they were insignificant. If anything, they were bittersweet. She had no regrets. For the first time in her life, she wanted to talk back to Mother. She bit her lip, quelling the nerves as she opened her mouth to speak. I know that. What? I know they might abandon me one day for whatever reason. It might be today, or next year, or even sooner. But that doesn't matter in the long run. I am happy with them. We've had years together. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just finished talking about this. Thank you. Like I treasure memories of you, Mother. My memories of you keep me sustained. That is why I love you. You're such a good person, Rosa, because I find it so hard to remotely like this woman, let alone love her, and yet you do. The years we spent together, no matter how fleeting, are still worth something. So let me care for them right now. Everything changes, but nothing is lost. Rosa was sure she had read it somewhere. Mother, wait. Nova, please. Read the text as it appears on the screen. Rosa waited for Mother to answer with a vicious voice, to burst out screaming at her cheekiness. But no voice came. Rosa smiled to herself. Ha! The lights dimmed. A low hush descended on the pews. That's right, clap. Soon Catherine entered, clad in the loveliest gown and an even lovelier smile. She was beautiful. She belonged on the stage. The lights shone on her, but they paled in comparison to her radiance. Catherine bowed to the audience and took a seat in front of the piano. She began to play. Please tell me there's a CG for this. Oh, this is a much sadder tune than... Or maybe it just starts off that way. Rosa gripped the handle of her seat. She felt surges of emotion with every note. A kind of energy passed through her, touching her skin and making her break into goosebumps. Oh, Catherine. Rosa hadn't known of such an effect before this moment. Music that could so strike the heart as if it were fiddling with the soul. It was different from practice, different from when she was performing in front of smaller groups. This was a stage, and here was a woman with strings. She was tugging the right keys, touching your heart and electrifying your soul. Rosa realized she wasn't alone in this feeling. The whole room was mesmerized. She looked at the lady beside her seat. She had her hand to her open mouth. A teardrop dangled precariously on her eye. The man to her left seemed to have forgotten to blink. Rosa beamed and savored a rush of kinship with them. They were experiencing the same emotions with her. It made her love them just a little bit. Rosa closed her eyes and savored the night. Good God, Nova. A bead of sweat fell from Catherine's chin. She was out of her body now. Her stress from the beginning of the show had thawed and turned into passion. It ran down her fingers to the keys. It did not escape Catherine's notice that most people in the crowd came to the show to gawk at her. Catherine Paride, the one that the infamous Marquis de Gaulle had been courting for years? Didn't he pay for this event? Lucky broad. Catherine Paride. I heard she was some pianist. Or pianist. I think it's pronounced pianist. Any good? Who knows? Must be. If even the Marquis is chasing her. Catherine Paride. It's a female pianist. Pretty face, nice flesh on her. Let us watch her show. Her fingers caressed the keys, playing them with the force of her heart. Did she play to prove them wrong? Her music saturated the theater with her fervor. No, not to prove them wrong. To set it right. Catherine Paride is my name. I am more than just a pretty face. And I am playing this piece for you. It is my gift. Let me touch your soul. Rosa felt her eye get moist. This was Catherine's heart transcribed into music. All energy and beauty with the strength of the wind. The mischief of a sudden gale that whips at ladies' skirts and tips gentlemen's hats. The cold breeze that carried the loneliness of the coming winter. Everyone in the audience felt it. Rosa searched for Guilleme's face in the darkness. She couldn't see him clearly. But it didn't matter. She knew what he was feeling. She felt it too. Rosa's heart began to ache. It was a sting she didn't know how to name. After the show, Rosa greeted Catherine in her backstage dressing room. Oh, that's a lovely dress. Usually I don't like frilly and, dresses with bows and whatnot, but that suits her. She was smothered in flowers from the audience. Sweat glistened on her forehead. Catherine gave her a tight hug. Congratulations, Kat. You were marvelous on stage. Thank you, Rosie. Catherine covered her cheeks with her hands. I'm still shaking. The excitement from the stage hasn't left. Look at my hands. Oh dear. So I would call this show a success, yes? Pour the champagne, Cherie. It's a night to remember. Catherine and Rosa hugged again. Oh, this is so endearing. Oh, This is so precious. Let me just finish up here, Rosa. Then we'll celebrate properly. Two young, ravishing ladies sampling the best of what Paris has to offer. I like it. Rosa laughed. Just don't let go of my hand. You might get lost for being so starry-eyed. She was teasing, but smiling brightly all the same. I would never. Anyway, shall I meet you outside in a few minutes? Very well. I'll see you later. Rosa was thankful to leave the backstage area. She had almost forgotten her anxiety during the show, but the backstage was an ill reminder of the crowd. She looked forward to the night ahead, wondering vaguely why she hadn't mentioned Guilleme's present to Kat. She shrugged it off. It had simply slipped her mind, that was all. Catherine went back to her dressing room, humming as she was about to grab her coat. She wasn't the least bit tired. Visions of city, exploring new sights, and gathering experiences made her giddy with excitement. It will end the night on the best note, she was sure. A small knock interrupted her thoughts. Who's there? Catherine turned around in a cheerful Nova, come on, just read the text on the screen. It's not that difficult. Catherine turned around and a cheerful smile froze on her face. The Marquis peeked from the open door and stepped inside. Hello, Cat. A tingling passed through Catherine's neck. Although she was aware he had returned, this was the first time she had seen him in 2 years. Wow, you've been gone that long? Wow. 2 years. Is this like immediately after her sister's death? Because if that's the case, that means that she's about 18 here, if that's true. Or no, because it said that he had been courting her for years, so it had to have been more time than that. I think. I don't know. Oh, okay. After she rebuked his intentions of wooing her, Catherine shook her head at the memory. They grew up together. It was normal to develop feelings for someone you shared most of your life with, was it not? Yet Catherine had promised herself not to dabble with the Marquis. With all the rumors and the past flings, it felt like she knew too much. Too complicated, she had reasoned. The rumors were still alive in some circles. But hadn't Guilleme come clean with his romantic escapades? Hadn't he vowed to be faithful since he made his intentions clear? Who to believe? Perhaps it was possible that. Catherine pushed away the insinuation of that last thought and regained. Nova, come on! Catherine pushed away the insinuation of that last thought and rearranged her face into a Nova. Read the text on the screen. Catherine pushed away her insinuation of that last thought and rearranged her face into a Merry Christmas, Mary. Why? What? I think I need to take a break. I've been reading how many hours now?
A few moments later.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. I am back. I've taken a little mini break. I think I should be okay now. This might be the last episode of the day. Catherine pushed away the insinuation of that last thought and rearranged her face into a merry smile. She curtsied. "My Lord Marquis, thank you for coming." That last bit came out too loud in her ears. It felt like her voice was compensating. She suppressed a groan. "I hope you found the show satisfactory?" "My Lord Marquis. What happened to Gilly Monster?" At once, the memories flooded her mind. That used to be her greeting every time she had visited him back then. She would scream that when she saw him, right before she flung her arms around his neck. Catherine didn't know what to do. Suddenly her hands, the hands that had never betrayed her, felt like they belonged to someone else. She cleared her throat and felt the smile harden on her face. "Pardon my past slight, sire. I was a bit of a precocious child. After all, I must give my due respects to the sponsor of this event." "Thank you, by the way. It didn't have to be so extravagant." "Wasn't it your dream to play in Paris, Kath? I thought your debut would be the perfect opportunity to fulfill that dream." Oh boy. The Marquise stepped into her quarters and closed the door. Catherine flinched, afraid that the small room would draw them even closer. Oh, look at her face. Just the effect that he wanted, probably. The sly fox. She floundered for a bit and contented herself in fussing with the flowers on the table. She should chase him out. Why wasn't she chasing him out? Merde? I've heard of Merde. Or Mondu. I really need to get a glossary and look up some of these words. Merde, Catherine. I didn't think you would be attending tonight, sire. Weren't you traveling? Yes, I was. But I wouldn't miss your concerto for the whole of France. Guilleme stepped forward. And it seems my investments were well placed. Catherine... Oh, sorry, other way around. Guilleme drew closer to Catherine, so near that she could smell the mint on his breath. He appeared to reach out to her face, but changed direction at the last minute. "Oh, these flowers are from the Duke. How pretty." He examined the card dangling a hair away from Catherine's ear, trying to look fascinated by the piece of decorative paper. Then he stepped back, grinning like an idiot. He really has good taste. Wherever did you learn that, muckhead? There's the old Catherine I love. If he thought that kind of ploy would make her swoon, then he was dead wrong. In fact, all it made her want to do was wipe that stupid grin off his face. With the backside of the face. Oh, Catherine, you are a firecracker. Yes, he does, doesn't he? She gritted her teeth, unable to take the acidic edge off her voice. It wouldn't be so hard. All she had to do was grab the neck of the expensive face and fling it at his head. She wasn't sure if the vase would break. Maybe not. Maybe she would need to hit him again for the full effect. Catherine, did you hear what I just said? Huh? I said, now that I'm back in town, would you consider playing for me again? It was part of our original arrangement, after all. She felt the tendons in her neck tighten. I have a full schedule this week, sire, but I'll let you know when I'm free. Sire, I must retire for the night. I'm exhausted from my performance, after all. Excuse me. Catherine turned around and went for her coat, but she felt Guilleme grab her hand. Wait, This awkwardness, though. They stared at each other for a couple of seconds. Guilleme looked like he was about to say something. His mouth opened and closed as if debating the correct words in his head. But he just dropped Catherine's hand a moment later. I'm sorry, you're right. You must be tired. His shoulders dropped. Catherine felt a tinge of disappointment, but she ignored it quickly. Guilleme let out a sigh. You know I'm not good at this, Catherine. Oh? What do I know? You seem to do just fine. You have an amazing track record. Huh? Catherine folded her arms over her chest with a pout. Oh, that? That's just because of my face. What? Most people think that I am very deep and thoughtful when I stare at them like this. I just run with it. Catherine bit her lip to prevent the chuckle from escaping, but the laughter burst out from her. He hadn't changed at all. Before she could stop herself, a mischievous smile appeared on her lips. No, actually it's your inability to make big gestures, Gilly. Huh? Well, look at you. She copied his tight, alert posture. You stand stiff as a board. I guess it fools people into believing you are a graceful, dashing soul. Guilleme made a pout. I am dashing, though. Maybe. Au contraire, monsieur. I did have the misfortune of being victim to your dancing. Must you always bring that up? It was a long time ago. He looked so distressed that Catherine couldn't help but tease him further. I mourn the death of my little toe, sire. I like that toe. It was a traumatic experience. Before long, they were laughing, like it was the most natural thing in the world. When did it change? Hadn't it always been like this? Catherine settled back into her own skin, mulling the confusion in her veins. Cat. He looked... Why do I keep doing that? She looked up at him. Her own emotions stung her. You can't keep running away from me. She sighed deeply. Her hands tightened around her resolve, for lack of a solid thing to hold on to. Perhaps not. I have already given you an answer. I am aware. I have tried to accept it. Please don't take offense, but I thought it would be easy. I left to clear my head, to fill my mind with other things. Traveling usually does the trick. For a while, at least, I thought I was successful. But even during my trip, I would catch myself thinking such absurd things like, I wonder what Kat will say when she sees that. No, I don't think Catherine would like this too much. Well, Kat used to say. It was funny, but also a little infuriating to know that you never left my mind. Why do you do this? Why do you do this, man? So I wish I knew how to do this. He sighed. used to people leaving me. That I do not know how to quit on my own. It must bother you, the amount of lovers I've had in the past. I am sorry for that. I almost wish I really was that adept. But like I have told you, most were simply rumors. The rest were people realizing I am not as interesting as they initially thought. Guilleme. They never stayed long, Cat. One could say I am amazing with first impressions. There's a nagging feeling that that's all I'm ever good for. A sort of exotic trophy people like to collect for its sake, and then put aside when its novelty expires. I can't blame them. By now, I am quite sure that I am what is wrong. I must be better at letting people go. But you, please don't make me let go. You see through me, Cat. In your eyes, I feel like I am somebody worth loving. Is it any wonder I'd like to continue thinking of you fondly? Old habits die hard, I suppose. Catherine bit her lip. Those are impressive words, sire, but do you have a point? My point? It's simple, really. I don't think I'll be able to stop my feelings for you. You may reject me as many times as you wish. It will not change. I have already come to the conclusion that I don't mind. He shrugged. So I propose that you either get used to me chasing you, or you give in to my dashing toe-mashing charms. Catherine chuckled despite herself. Or I can just kill you with the Duke's fashionable vase. Please do not give my superior the pleasure. I would rather you rip my heart out of my chest and offer it as a dark sacrifice to the gods. Gory. Very pathetic. The hell, Nova. Very poetic. Dashing points for you. You think so? I've been reading a lot of romance novels lately. What kind of romance novels are you even talking about? I figured I must learn to be more suave to make the lady of my dreams swoon. Is it working? Catherine laughed. Hardly. I believe this is how they do it in the big finale. Guilleme cleared his throat and knelt down on one knee. Oh, this is such a cute picture. This is such a cute picture. He took Catherine's hand awkwardly, trying to act as naturally as he could. His serious face made Catherine burst out laughing. Que folle! What in the world are you doing, idiot? Stop laughing, madame. I must try this at least once. I'm simply concerned for an older gentleman and his knee. Oh, Catherine. Will you be able to stand up from that position later, given your obvious grace? Guilleme chuckled. Terrible. Dare you call me an old man? I don't look at my age, you know. I don't look my age, you know. Sure. Oh, stop laughing, will you? I'm trying to concentrate. I'm not gonna lie, these two are freaking cute right now. He cleared his throat again. Will Mademoiselle Catherine Perry show me an audience tonight? As such, perhaps she might allow me to stay by her side for a while longer. It would make me a very happy man. It was sappy and ridiculous, and yet hearing the words did stir Catherine's heart. They were giggling like fools now, like children, her heart heavy with love for him. Love? Did she just think love? Of course she did. She had always loved him. Why was she fighting her feelings again? The reason seemed unclear all of a sudden. All right, sire. Your gallantry has convinced this lady to accept your offer for tonight. She bowed with an exaggerated curtsy. Guilleme took her hand theatrically as he stood up. This gentleman is relieved he didn't have to sing. Oh God, thank you, please. I don't want to kill the viewers with my voice any more than I have to. A few rules for tonight. As we are in Paris, you must be on your best behavior. No embarrassing jokes like making friends with the street mimes. Agreed. As such, I must retire by 8, 10, 8, 9:30, 9, take it or leave it. Oh. Guilleme grumbled, but Catherine just chuckled at his frustration. Fine, 9:15 it is. Sir, I meant 9 sharp. Guilleme's face brightened like a little boy's. Oh, I know where we can go. There's a quaint little plaza just south from here. They have a breathtaking view of the city. They're on a hill, you see. I know the owner personally, so we're already guaranteed the best seats. And they serve the best... I gotta look that up and see what that is. Pomme de terre gratinées? Is that like, potatoes? I gotta look that up. Okay, she was thinking the same thing I was thinking. Gratin again? If you continue eating that at every opportunity you get, soon there won't be no potatoes left in all of France. Catherine sighed. Why must he be so... This better not be a game like all your other flings, sire. I deserve to be treated like more than a prize. But Catherine watched Guilleme's face beamed as he talked about that little house on the hill. How when the weather was perfect, the stars would soak the sky. She giggled to herself with fondness. What a dolt. A night in Paris and he would rather eat cheese potatoes. Hey now, nothing wrong with cheese potatoes. I love me some potatoes. Just had some last night, actually. It was just like him to pick the stars instead of the city, wasn't it? It pleased her to know that she adored the side of him that others did not see. Yeah, that is a special thing. But was this the real him? Valid point. Did she really see through him like he said? Or was this a face he put on for her sake, like most flirts could? If it was, then she had been watching this face since she was a little girl. From awe to admiration, from friends to lovers. They had seen the best and worst of each other through the years. Surely there was something to that. Surely it couldn't all be a lie. Right? I'm sorry, I got carried away. Shall we go? Yes. Catherine grabbed her coat and Guilleme took her purse. Oh, I almost forgot. Rosa's waiting outside. Thank you. I wanted to comment on that earlier, but I figured that was going to be brought up. Then let us hurry and meet up with her. I haven't seen her for a long time. I missed her too. It'll be a treat to spend the evening with two esteemed ladies. She'll be thrilled to see you. Just like old times, us three. Yes. She slipped her hand on his arm nonchalantly and caught Guilleme's smile to himself. At the very least, let that smile be real. Okay, that was abrupt as fuck. Huh. I'm like I can't process this abrupt change in scenery and mood. Holy cow. I guess we'll find out what happens in the next episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Take care.